dead will give life to your mortal bodies, and also through his Spirit who dwells in you. This expectation would not make sense unless the first Christians believed that Jesus' body was gloriously reigning in heaven rather than rotting away in a tomb outside of Jerusalem while only his spirit was in heaven. William Lane Craig made a similar point in his 2009 debate with Richard Carrier.
Now, in 1 Corinthians 15, Paul never says we shall change bodies. Rather, he says, the trumpet will sound, we shall be changed. The passage only makes sense as intrinsic change. Second, Paul's verbs sowing and raising have the same implicit subject. It is sown, it is raised. 4 times Paul repeats this. To escape the implication of numerical identity, Richard is forced to mistranslate the passage so that the verbs take different subjects. One is sown, one, that is another one, is raised.
For more on my response to Barker and similar critics, see my book, Counterfeit Christ. But I want to close out today's episode with insights from another book that I'm really excited about. This year, biblical scholar James Ware published the most comprehensive defense of the traditional understanding of 1 Corinthians 15. In his book, The Final Triumph of God, Jesus, the Eyewitnesses, and the Resurrection of the Body in 1 Corinthians 15. The book is right up there with Mike Lacona's The Resurrection of Jesus, a new historiographical approach, and Andrew Lokes investigating the resurrection of Jesus Christ as must-read resources for anyone who wants to ex-belief defend the foundational doctrine of the Christian faith. Here's just a few of the insights from the book that I found helpful regarding this section of 1 Corinthians. First, critics often claim that because the creed in 1 Corinthians 15 does not mention the empty tomb, that means this fact was embellished later. However, as Ware notes, quote, no formula, creedal fragment, or creed known to us from the ancient church contains any reference to the empty tomb. But Christians from those time periods clearly believed in a physical resurrection and its corresponding empty tomb. So if an empty tomb is assumed when modern Christians recite the part of the creed which says that Christ suffered and was buried and the third day he rose again, then there's no reason to think it was not assumed when Paul recited this creed. Moreover, Paul refers to the Jesus that is preached as the crucified one, in Greek, astaromenos, using grammar that indicates the effects of crucifixion are ongoing in a sense, not something consigned to a past physical body that no longer exists. Ware writes the following. The perfect participle astaromenos describes a state or condition contemporaneous with Paul's proclamation. The one whom Paul saw and now proclaims is the crucified one. But if after his resurrection, Jesus had assumed some other body, or form different from the body that was crucified and laid in the tomb, Paul could not describe the one whom he saw as Christ crucified. This description assumes that Paul saw Christ in his crucified and now risen body, end quote. Second, Dale Allison, a moderate scholar who has offered sophisticated criticisms of the resurrection, claims that the appearance to the 500 recorded in 1 Corinthians 15:6 must refer to some kind of sketchy group hallucination or mistaken illusion, where a group of people thought that they saw Jesus in a cloud or something like that. Allison says 500 people could not have seen the risen Jesus.
Thanks for the warning, though. Thank you. I really appreciate it, you know. Could have warned me, you know. I was probably dead anyways, but, you know, you could have warned me. Actually, you know, I appreciate that. No. He gave me an excuse to be like, no, that's not my fault. It's all RNG. See, 3 and 2 actually has my back. Like, I was dead anyways, but, like, he's like, nah, bruh. You chill in my book. I'll give you an excuse, you know.